Please welcome Chris Roberts.
All right, well, I'm very happy to be here. I'm actually, thank you to AMD and Richie and everyone else. Normally, actually, I would not be on stage at such an early point in the development of any game I've done in the past, but we're doing things incredibly different with Star Citizen, which I'm going to tell you about in a minute. But to sort of key it off, we put a little sort of montage together of some of the in-engine footage that we've been generating. So everything you're going to see in this little video sequence is rendered in-engine. We use the CryEngine we sort of built on top of that. It is using all the game assets. We have some nicer camera angles for the sort of shots we've done, but it's all sort of in-engine. It's not offline rendered at all. So let's play the video so you can have a little idea of what Star Citizen's about, and then I'll start talking about it. All right. So it's definitely got spaceships and is about spaceships. So what is Star Citizen? So for me, it's the next great sci-fi adventure. I mean, obviously, you know me from making a fair number of space sims, and obviously it's a large part of my passion. I've always focused on unparalleled immersion, and I'm really trying to push that with Star Citizen. I'm applying some of the techniques that I learned in the 10 years I was off in the film business in terms of detail, fidelity, and just everything that can pull you into it. And that's one of the reasons why I'm here on stage is obviously graphical fidelity and audio fidelity have a large part to do with that. It's a large, persistent universe. Ultimately, millions of players will interact and make their fortune, so it's a big sandbox universe that will be dynamic, traveling from planet to planet, doing combat, trading runs, being a pirate, being an explorer. There'll just be a lot of stuff to do. It's completely designed for the bleeding edge. My goal is to make Star Citizen push the PC hardware today and the PC hardware tomorrow to the absolute limit. I think Richie sort of indicated it, having to upgrade his computer to play Wing Commander. There's definitely a fair number of people that give me that anecdote. And I'm going to try to do that again. We'll see. And it's part of my never-ending goal to make the best damn space sim ever. So I've been working at that for quite a while, and I think hopefully with this, maybe be achieving that. One other thing that really makes Star Citizen unique is the fact that it's for gamers and it's completely funded by gamers. So I think I'm correct in saying this is the first AAA title that is 100% funded by gamers. It doesn't have a traditional publisher, doesn't have VCs or investors. It's 100% crowdfunded. Right now we stand at about $19.93 million, which is an insane amount of money for the community to come together and back to make a AAA space game that they want. I feel incredibly humbled. The team feels incredibly humbled. It's a completely new way of doing development. And we have a thriving community of backers, each that are involved and have a stake in the game, give feedback, see how it gets developed, which I'll talk about here in a little bit. So what makes Star Citizen different? Well, first of all, there's something cool about owning a spaceship and being able to fly from planet to planet. And you can own your own spaceship or a fleet of spaceships if you're especially ambitious. You have a universe that your actions will help shape, and it's dynamic. So what the players do affect what's happening, what missions are being spawned on planets, what's happening in the economy. So it's a fully dynamic universe, which is something I've been sort of searching for a long time. I don't know if any of you guys were back when I was pitching Freelancer back in 1999 at E3, and we won a lot of awards for the best of show at that time. But that was one of the main pitches, was to try and make a completely dynamic universe. I didn't end up being able to take it all the way through there, and Star Citizen is the accumulation of a lot of design ideas that I've had. The dogfights, that's definitely something that Wing Commander has been known for, and we're sort of applying a next generation level of detail, effects, fluidity, physics for it. So I think it's going to raise the bar there, which I'm pretty excited by. We have a fully realized economic simulation which goes into the dynamic universe, and it's live, and it's supply and demand really is affected by the player base, and that's just will make a really living, dynamic, cool universe. We're also embracing the user-generated content and the power of the community. I mean, my last game, Freelancer, still today there are servers running 10 years after it came out with people modding and doing stuff, and it's because they have the ability to mod and run multiplayer and do servers. I think that's definitely a movement in games in general, especially PC games. I mean, PC games are where you can really do the modding. And we're supporting that fully, so people can, besides play on our big persistent universe server, they can have their own private server and do a huge amount of modding. So if they want to change the universe, change ships, they'll be able to do that. And we're actually going to have some pretty cool announcements to make in terms of user-generated content upcoming. So we have a 1-year anniversary from when we first started the crowdfunding process on October 10th, and we'll make an announcement then about it, which will be very cool. Here's one of the big things about this is we have a completely public development process. So that's why I'm saying I'm here a year ahead of where I would normally be on stage. I mean, in the dev cycle, I would normally be 1 year from now, I would be announcing the project and showing it. But because we're crowdfunded, part of our sort of pledge to our backers is that we're going to show them how we're making the game, involve them in the process. And that's actually something that I think is incredibly exciting. I mean, first of all, we have a massive community. We have over 250,000 people, and that's an incredibly great sort of focus group that are space sim fans and love everything that they can get their hands on in space, and they all have great opinions, and it actually is a really good feedback loop for us. So one of the things to sort of illustrate this is we've decided that we will release functionality of the game before the final game is completed. So the people that have backed the game can get online and play and see and interact with parts of the game. And we released just under a month ago the very first part of this plan, which was the hangar module. So this is basically baby Star Citizen that sits on everyone's drives. We have a full patcher system, just like a World of Warcraft or a League of Legends or something. And it's the full engine. And the game that we have, the functionality sort of blocked off, so you can only use one part of it. And this is the hangar module. So it's allowing everyone that's back to sort of get in the hangar, see the ships that they have, walk around them, play around with them, explore them. And then as we go forward, we'll be adding extra functionality. But right now, I'm going to show you the hangar module. So let's give you an idea of what we're doing. And this is, like I said, I wouldn't even give a publisher this build if I was doing this in a traditional way. But we're doing something very different. So let's switch to the demo. So one thing that I'd like to point out here is that we're in iFinity, which is a great AMD stuff. We're running on one of the FX CPUs at 5 gigahertz, and we've got the new R9 290X in here. And so we're like 3 screens, 5760 by 1080. And we're very early in the development process, so we haven't really optimized anything. So we've got 10 ships in here, so this is a rather large, big collection of ships. Most people don't have this many ships in their hangar. And we have different levels of hangars you can have. So you have a basic hangar, a business level hangar, and then the deluxe hangar, which is the one where if you've got lots of ships, you get. And our smallest ship has about 300,000 polygons. Our biggest ship, which is a Constellation, which is here on the left, is about 1.5 million polygons. So I think at the key at our widest angle, which is probably kind of around about here, maybe if I go over to the angle, we're rendering about 18 million polys a frame. And obviously, it's fairly smooth. And so here's our character. And so I'm just going to go over and we're going to take a look at the different ships. Let's just run over here quickly. So this is the 300i, which is sort of the mid-level ship, and you can sort of see my scale next to it. And you know, part of the idea of this is almost like having a car in your garage, and you can sit down and I'll climb into it. So we're down here in the 300, and 300i is a single, one-person ship. It's sort of the Origin Jump Works, which is the brand of manufacturer that makes this ship, is sort of the BMW of our universe. And so, of course, you can also sit down. Oops. Oh, someone plugged the speaker in. Go back to my. There you go. Okay. So we're just sitting in, and you can look around your cockpit. In fact, I'll just see me. I'll exit from the. Get out. Okay, so let me jump out of here. What is someone doing? What are the headphones doing? All right. Okay, so we'll walk over here. And over here is the smallest of the ships you can actually back for or have. It's where if you're starting at the base level of the game, you do, which is the Aurora, which is relatively, if you look at my scale next to it, smaller than the 300i we're in. But it's actually pretty cool itself, and we'll just jump inside that really quickly, show a few features. And we're early stages at the moment. Obviously, there's you're flying around in space, a whole bunch of other stuff. But the idea is that every spaceship has its own unique feel. You can do lots of things, and of course, we can do the same, just getting into the cockpit. And as we further move along, obviously displays and all that work, and you can sit in and you can move your displays and play with it. Can't drive it just yet. And there's other functionality that happens in all our ships. So this is our smallest ship, but if you're on a long-haul flight and you're in autopilot, well, you certainly could get into your hypersleep bed and hang out while you're cruising through the stars. There you go. But as I'm now doing a demo, let's get back out and show some other features. All right, so I'm going to go over here. So we've got quite a few ships in this hangar, and the other thing that we can do is we can sort of change around equipment on our ships, and this is another pretty cool feature, which is the holo table, and it sort of allows us to see all the ships we have in our hangar. So these are the various ships we have, and I'm going to select the Hornet, which is sort of the single-seater dogfighter. And I want to change out, we're going to change out one of the weapons, probably the weapon on the right wing. So let's do the Omnisky 6 cannon. So we're looking, we can see it on the side. And this is actually kind of the nice thing about iAffinity is you can get the full peripheral vision. So we're going to drop that down. onto the wing. And actually, if I sort of, you can see this is fully. And if this was on the Rift or this was in stereoscopic, that's all beautiful 3D, which is kind of fun. It's very sort of Iron Man hoodish. So we'll turn that off. And the Hornet's a little bit over, so I'm going to run over here because in the very biggest hangar, you have a couple extra things like we have a buggy. Buggies are always good. And I'll try not to hit anything. There we go. And on the left is the Freelancer, which is one of our larger ships, two-person ship. And this is the Hornet. So we'll get out and we can sort of see. This is the original gun, which is that sort of three-barreled triangle-looking gun. And then if I go along here, hopefully I'm not making anyone sick with my. You can see we switched out to the gun that we did in the holo table, which is kind of cool. And like all these ones, they've got great detail in the cockpits. So I'll just show you the Hornet, which is a sort of single-seater dogfighter ship that you can be flying. And in the final game, like all the displays, everything works, animates. When you're touching, when you turn things on and off, you'll actually be switching the switches. It's all about immersion. So if any of you remember the old Wing Commander, it was definitely about sitting in. You could see your hand on the joystick and your feet in the cockpit. But we're going to get out, and we're going to run over to the Constellation, which is the big four-person ship, so you can sort of get a sense of the scale and like more things that happen inside that because it's a much bigger ship. And it's actually one of the cool features of Star Citizen is that there are ships that are built for co-op play where multi people can play them. So one person can be flying, another person can be running around in the manning turrets, and I'll show you when we get there. Okay, so let's oops. And you can sort of feel the Constellation there's a much the Freelancer I just went past a much bigger one. But as we get up to Constellation, let's get out. And so if you sort of see my scale next to the Constellation, this is one of the bigger ships you can fly, you can definitely feel the difference between this and the Aurora, which is a small ship. And that's one of the really cool things about Star Citizen is that the same fidelity is applied to the big ships as is to the small ships, and they all have the same level of detail inside. So let me just go in here. I'll hit the elevator. We'll walk inside. Okay, so back here that's the sort of command center. And there's just all sorts of little things we can do, like can hit that. The dining table will come out. Here's the cargo hold. There's actually a small snub-nosed fighter in here that when you're in combat you can jump into to deploy. If you're same feature, hypersleep, but there's 4 bunk beds in the Constellation. Let's see what else we got here. Oops. There's even a shower. Or there's even a toilet, which you can sit on. But there you go. We don't have any. Yeah, I know. Everyone loves the toilet. So we don't have any reading material, so I think we're going to go back up to the front. We'll just charge over here really quickly. And as usual, there's, boom, here we go. The captain's chair, so if you want to be flying it, you can get into it, which is kind of fun. And again, same thing. Got to play off the controls, you can't fly it just yet. There we are, I'm going to see us. We'll go around and we see ourselves. I'll get out of the chair now so you can sort of appreciate the nice little animation the guys have done. Wow. So one of the things, which this is new, and it'll actually be new for our backers, we haven't seen this yet, is, let's get close enough where I
Wow,
can.
Chris, that's all amazing. I can't
Yeah,
wait.
we got this last thing, and we're going to
Okay.
do getting the turret. There we go. This is our end of it. There you go. We get in the turret, and so you can see us in the turret. So all the little bits and functionality and stuff that's kind of cool on these ships. Huge amount of detail. Anyway, we'll drop back to the presentation. I know I took a fair amount of your time up there. But I wanted to show the turret moving around. So let's jump back to the presentation. It'll be great. Okay, so that's the first example of our iterative release methodology. So people are going to walk around, play it. We get to test out the engine, get rid of glitches, work on functionality, and then we're just going to slowly be adding modules along the way. So the next one is a dogfighting module that comes in the end of this year, and it will allow you to take the ships you have in your hangar and dogfight in space and against other players and against AI. Then we've got the planet side module, which allows you to be on the planet environments and talk to other players, buy and sell goods, equip your ships. Shipboarding module, which is our first-person shooter part of the game where you can board other ships and take them over. And then we do the Squadron 42 single-player module, which is essentially Wing Commander. It's story, single-player, high narrative, detailed, performance capture cinematics, very much like a next-gen Wing Commander. And then we move on to the alpha and beta of the full game. And what's going to happen is all these things get delivered to the hard drives of the people that have backed the game, and they sort of see it grow on their hard drive over the next 18 months plus. And it's sort of a live development environment. It's actually really quite fun. So we're having a good time, but I like to push the envelope. The power of new tech was a big reason for me coming back from my hiatus in film. My games have always pushed the limits of PCs, I think, as some of you know. Star Citizen definitely is going to go further. I think I've been quoted to say I want to melt some GPUs. And we are building for tomorrow today because this is a long-term game. It's going to be a living, breathing online universe. And also the final game won't be done for 18 months to 24 months. So why am I here on stage? Why am I partnering with AMD? Well, first of all, AMD is committed to early development, engagement, and support. And it's great. So we're working together on features for Star Citizen now and 2-3 years down the road. Obviously, the GCN architecture is really great. It helps us achieve some pretty amazing graphical detail and the film-like immersion I want. And we are going to be supporting True Audio, Tress Effects, Eyefinity, which you guys just saw running really nicely, Crossfire, and then there's a bunch of advanced DX11.1 and 2 features that will be using the power of the compute shaders, so we'll have a lot faster post-processing. And there's some other new stuff that down the road we'll talk about, which I think will also increase performance and fidelity. So I think PC games are definitely back. I think a large part of this AMD presentation is about PC stuff. Space Sims are back, and AMD and Star Citizen are making it happen together. So thank you, guys.
Thanks, Chris. It's probably no doubt that you'll hit 20 million before the end of the day, I think. And Chris, before you go, I've already got my Admiral pack and my Constellation in my hangar, so I'm waiting for that dogfighter module. All right.